What is going on, everybody? We are back once again with another edition of Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast. It's Sunday, November 26th, the tail end of Thanksgiving weekend. Everyone's likely traveling home. What in the world happened last night? We saw Survivor Series in Chicago, Survivor Series War Games, multiple War Games matches. We had the return of R-Truth. We had another big return, and then we had the big return. What in the world of sports is going on here, guys? If we're going to break this down, which of course we are, it's Sunday. How can you not? I'm going to need a stacked panel and a steamed panel to cruise with me this weekend, this end of Thanksgiving weekend. Let me go first all the way up north to Canada with our head of reviewing, the man who broke down the show himself via article, Mr. Kobe Galanzowski. How are you on this fine Sunday, my friend?
I'm doing pretty well. Of course, like you already said, there was a bit of a penultimate return that happened last night, and I'm excited to talk about it because it actually happened, and it's comical to think it actually happened, and the changes changed throughout the year. It's fun to see. Wrestling's crazy, and that's why I think we all enjoy it. And I'm here to talk. I'm here to talk with my crew, my people.
I'm excited for this one as well, and we're going to get into the whole show. Let's just say it out loud. CM Punk returned to WWE last night. I mean, the place that you're not supposed to go is frozen, apparently, just like Chicago is this weekend, because this was a wild one. Let's head it to our head of opinions next, all the way out in Philly, Anthony Ricciardi. This is absolutely absurd, is it not?
Yeah, and this was something that I called for on a Take It and a daily and a post that everyone thought I was crazy, even suggesting it. Who's laughing now? You're right. Last night it froze over. And last night, a moment like that, as a wrestling fan, reminds you why you're a fan, why you put up with, bad stories or bad matches throughout the year. It's for moments like that. The moments that will outlive any star that's involved. Like, it's a legacy. It's a moment. And that's what it was last night. And it was a great show, too. So.
Absolutely. I'm with you. But seriously, though, as far as this crew is concerned, we got the head of reviewing, we got the head of opinions. I was thinking, who made that song? The intro song? Maybe the host of Take It to the Table? Chaos? Just to round it out, to react to this huge pay-per-view? How are you on Sunday, Chaos?
Oh, hell yeah. Thank you very much for that awesome intro, Clark. Happy Sunday. Boy, what a time to be alive. If y'all watched the daily on, Friday, even though I was wearing this same shirt, I said that no, it's not going to be returning. I was in on it. I was just playing it. I was under WWE's paycheck, their payroll, to just keep on saying nope, it's not happening. But I was hidden in plain sight. It happened. CM Punk is here. What a great time to be alive. It is a beautiful time to be a wrestling fan. And I can't wait to dissect this pay-per-view. Woo! Oh man, I can't wait for me to do my top 10 best pay-per-views. That's all I'm gonna say. But let's get straight to it.
I am fired up to break it down to Chaos. Absolutely. We got a few comments here. First from our good friend Bobby Petito. Hello, friends. Hello, our friend Bobby. Good to see you as always. Shad Huda in the comments as well with look in my eyes. What do you see? Your boy Shadi, of course. And then our good friend also Cool Gamer with hey, what's going on, Cool Gamer? Good to see you as always. Thank you for tuning in. And Let's start though with the women's War Games match,
War
because
Games.
this to me was the curtain was properly opened to start this show. I really enjoyed this one more than I expected, and I did not expect Bailey to take the pinfall, but I appreciated the level of storytelling involved in the match, and I even appreciated the way the press conference went after the fact. I'm going to toss this one to you first, Anthony. How did you feel about the match? How did you feel about the future of Damage Control given Bailey taking the pinfall?
Yeah, Bailey taking the pinfall is obvious. To me, it seems pretty obvious that that is going to be one of the catalyst things that Damage Control may eventually turn on her. They blame her for the loss, obviously, because they took the pin. It was a hard hitting match, which is what it needed to be. I know she does it all the time. I am not a fan of the EO trash can spot. You did it one time. You don't have to do it every War Games match you're in. I thought it was a great moment with Charlotte and Becky having that hug moment because we knew they were legit very close and there was a legit falling out between the two of them. And they had no real interaction for the 2 years since their last Survivor Series match against each other. And even the press conference, that was one of the questions I had, I think, when we talked about the SmackDown review, in that I didn't know if they were working together because they're professionals or if there was genuine peace between the two. But looking at the press conference, to me, it seemed to be genuine. It seemed to be like they legitimately like each other again. But like I said, the match itself, I thought delivered. It did what it needed to do. I thought it was a smart move to open Survivor Series with a War Games match and to close it with a War Games match. I think the bookend is a smart move to do. And really, the men's was the bigger of the two matches, story wise, star power wise. So I understood why that was going to be the end. And of course, you wanted the moment, which we'll eventually get to, with Punk and Seth and so on.
Absolutely. And it's funny though, and not to make it fully about the press conference, I did find it interesting and in a weird way telling that the very final thing that was said as the two were up there on the microphone was Charlotte Flair talking about she had to get her moonsault in.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was really interesting because that was the only thing that felt a little bit like, why'd you throw that one in there?
Mm-hmm.
It's not all about the press conference. I thought the match was outstanding, and especially Bailey, Charlotte, Becky in a roundabout
Core
way
three,
to
yeah.
me were just MVPs of this match in some sense. Bianca had great spots without question. There's no doubt about that. Chaos, I got to toss it to you and ask you what you think about the future of Damage Control. How did you like the opening match? And where do you think they go with this Becky and Charlotte kind of, rekindling their friendship storyline that's possible?
Yeah, it's I'm enjoying it. I'm glad that they actually look like, as Anthony said, they definitely uh what you saw was legit. And they've mended fences back from that weird table switching segment. And yeah, so I think they've squashed, and yeah, it's all about business. Just seeing from that, I think right now they could make perfect challengers for the tag team title, the women's tag team titles, I'd say. Sure, obviously Chelsea Green and Piper Niven have them right now, and I feel like they're trying to just spin the wheels as long as possible with Sonya Deville being out. But yeah, if you want to put some star power again into those tag team titles and do it correctly, I think they are the perfect candidates for it, to fully make their reunion come full circle, if you will. But going in front regarding the match itself, the match was fine. To be fair, I've not really been a huge fan of the women's War Games matches. They I don't know, they just feel very choreographed. I know it's in the world of wrestling in a way it is, but it just felt very, usually when they just feel very padded, very choreographed. But this one was fine. I don't mind the Io Shirai move. Every huge wrestler needs to have their go-to move, even as ridiculous it is. You have the Undertaker doing the old school. You have Otis doing the caterpillar. They have like everyone has their one go-to move that people still go crazy for. So it went over with the crowd, so that was fine. The Charlotte moonsault was crazy, even though Io got taken out clean by that moonsault. She got the most of it. But yeah, the ending was fine. I kind of predicted that Bailey was going to be the one to take the fall, and it's like you said, this is going to be a catalyst to get her out of the group, and then we're going to get face Bailey back, which I'm fine with. It's about time. Yeah, to see where that takes us. But yeah, I have no qualms with it. Great opener, solid start to the show, and yeah, that's all I got to say about that.
I really love what you said about getting face Bailey back too. The only thing I would ask, and I'm going to toss this to Kobe as well, but just quickly, do you want the hugger Bailey back, or do you want a face Bailey more in line with the heel persona, the more real Bailey that we've seen over the last few years?
I don't know. It with that gimmick, I guess you could try and go like full face, or you can either go full face to do like the anti-hero type of thing, you know. Not too full, like, you know, smiley facey and stuff. I don't want the wacky inflatable tube men again. I think that's, you know, that was that period. See where it goes with this one, but they have to go and get really behind it and see where they go, because yeah, this heel run has been up and down. We all know it's had its ups and downs, but yeah, I'll just see where it goes with this current gimmick, see how far you can stretch it out and then do something good with it.
I 100% agree on please no more wacky inflatable arm flailing tube mans. I am not cool with that one. I'm out on wacky inflatable arm flailing tube mans for the time being. That is. Kobe, how do you feel about the future of Damage Control? I got to toss it to you as well. You reviewed the show and you gave this match a high rating, and I respected you for it. I thought you gave it a good rating. You want to talk a little bit about why you rated it the way you did?
Yeah, so just to kind of bump off of that, is like, yeah, even character progression, you cannot go backwards. Bailey should not be going to the hugger gimmick. She can maybe involve hugs like they did a few weeks ago when they originally did the Asuka heel turn, and then they hugged at the end of the night, despite earlier on in the show having her go, I don't do that anymore. It's fine, you can involve it, but she shouldn't go back to the happy-go-lucky Bailey. She needs to have real steam behind her as a face, and I hope she gets it. In this sense, I think I 100% agree with Chaos. Is normally the women's war games aren't that high up. Like they're normally really solid. We really saw that kind of crap one on the 2.0 War Games one, and that one was probably by far their worst women's War Games match they had. Last year's was solid, but there was still like it still was like it's a 5-on-5 match, but like half of them, why were like half of them even in the match? This one was kind of better than that as well. And you have a lot of talent in this match. You have Bianca Belair, you have Becky Lynch, you have Charlotte Flair, you have Bayley, you have Io Sky, Asuka, Kairi, and then you also had Shotzi, where Shotzi had her good spots as well. And I think this was just as probably their best done women's War Games match, period. I feel like there was two stories being told, because we had the Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch dynamic. We also had the Damage Control storylines that we have. The storyline coming out of this is going to be Bayley pushing Kairi and taking this Charlotte spear. And if they're going to try that, that's where Bayley's going to be like, oh, I got this on the production truck. I saved you. And that's not going to make this turn easy to go through. And that's kind of what makes it more compelling. I thought, although I do share similar sentiments with put the trash can and jump off, I found it interesting to use a chain to get it up. I liked that aspect of it. There was a lot of other good sequences. I liked Becky's counter of the insane elbow. That was clean and smooth. There's a lot of it. The moonsault from Charlotte was really good. I thought the psychology was really good, and the atmosphere was phenomenal. The only thing is I know Becky Lynch got cut somewhere, and I know Io Sky got scraped by Charlotte's boot. So I knew that was kind of the one thing that kept it from being a perfect match, a 5-star perfect match that we call it at Wrestling Republic. But because there were a couple things that didn't go as smoothly as they should have. But that is what it is. It's the nature of the beast. It was a
Absolutely.
very well done match. Period.
Well, and you gave it plenty of praise and did a great job reviewing it. Of course, Kobe. Like I really actually agree with you in that it was one of the best women's war games matches I've seen personally. I also agree with though what Chaos mentioned about the choreography aspect of it. There was quite a bit of that, but it's funny because I don't make that excuse in AEW matches myself. So I'd feel like a little bit of a hypocrite if I were to overly criticize the choreography part of it myself. And not saying that there's anything wrong with Chaos's point. Like your point is spot on, but I do think that to make this what it was as far as storytelling was concerned, that had to be part of it as well. With that, though, speaking of storytelling, this is one of my favorite stories that's been told in WWE in a long time. We're talking about the Intercontinental title, The Miz, who, in my eyes, revived it at a time where it felt as low as it could feel. And Gunther has done the same. The perfect matchup. Miz physically proving himself against a behemoth like Gunther, even in a loss, to me was exciting. This match was awesome. Gunther deserves this title. I want to know who the next challenger is, though, and more importantly, Chaos. What'd you think of the match? And Miz gotta deserve some flowers after this one, right?
Without a doubt, this resurgence is from the Miz is it's almost unfathomable. It's this someone that has pretty much he's a WWE guy. His place in the company is secure. He doesn't really have to really do anything. But yeah, since he's done this face turn, he's been pulling moves out of the bag that we've never seen him do. And it's put so much into the promos and whatnot. With Gunther. The match itself was solid. Miz put in a good shift in there. There was a couple times where I actually thought, could he be the one that could like actually dethrone Gunther, because he outright low blowed him while the ref wasn't looking. Hit the skull crushing finale. He bounced his head off an exposed turnbuckle. Great close finishes. But yeah, Gunther retained. The only gripe about it, I don't know if having him submit was the right way, especially with a move that isn't really usually associated with Gunther. He beat him with the Lion Tamer, which is obviously Chris Jericho's move. But yeah, it is what it is. It's not going to be Miz is at a position where he's unburyable. You can't really bury him, so I don't think it's going to be that much of a detriment to his character or anything like that. He's still going to be in good mid-card feuds and whatnot. But yeah, great showing for the Miz. Love the match. I'm happy for him. Now, the person that's going to actually beat him, I still have my money on Chad Gable. He's the only one that's, despite all the opponents, he's the one that's really been the closest, maybe close to Sheamus being the closest to defeating Gunther. So, even shortly after, the matches that he's had with Gunther, he's always saying like he wants to face Gunther again and stuff. So, and WWE is having a good streak right now of paying off, these little seeds that they plant in certain storylines. So I say, yeah, if they actually go through with it, Chad Gable is the one to actually be the third time lucky and actually be the one to actually dethrone Gunther, and then he can have a good reign, because yeah, Chad Gable deserves it. And yeah, but long live Gunther as IC champ, and good try.
I love the pick of Chad Gable too. I actually agree with Gable has been in the most roundabout way possible too. He's felt like the most legit challenger, which is shocking to me, right? That is not what I would. I mean, we look at the babyface team that we're going to talk about later in the men's War Games match, and that's on Raw. And to name Gable before that is, I mean, I think that's a testament to what Gable has accomplished over the last year and a half, 2 years, as far as building his own character. And I agree with you on that, Chaos. I think it's a great call, and I would not mind that in the least. Let's flip over to the SmackDown side, and let's talk a little bit about kind of the US title picture, kind of not. I'm not really sure, but the LWO drama is the center of this storyline. Let's talk about Santos Escobar versus Dragon Lee. We had Carlito injured on SmackDown. Dragon Lee comes out of the bullpen, the righty, he's ready to go. And man, did I really enjoy this match. I thought it was a little bit overlooked because, there was quite a bit of steam on this show before it. But this was a match that bell to bell I truly enjoyed. And I always forget how good Dragon Lee is until I watch him. And then I remember. That's how I feel about Dragon Lee. He is dang good at what he does. Anthony, how did you feel about this match with Santos? What do you think the future of the LWO is? And where do we go from here?
I really think Santos is one of those talents, and this match itself was probably the most underrated match going into the show. Santos is somebody in NXT when he was running as a heel. I think he was doing phenomenal work. He's great on the mic. He's great in the ring. He really needed that chance to run on the main roster as a heel. I know they stuck him with the LWO and there's nice exposure with Ray, but the heel Santos is his sweet spot. That's where he's doing his best stuff. Dragon Lee is somebody, the first time I saw him was in Ring of Honor towards the end of that run during Sinclair. And I thought, this guy's got a lot of talent. Now, he's descended from a strong family. Roosh is his brother. Dralistico, I believe, is also his brother. To me, if there was the best one of it, I know Roosh gets a lot of praise. Dragon Lee was the one. If I'm WWE and I can only get one, that's the one. Because as we know, they've been trying for years to try to replicate the appeal to the Latino community that Rey Mysterio has. Dragon Lee could be that guy. I really think Dragon Lee is somebody that WWE could really build around. He could be the one, the passing of the torch with Ray, if Ray wants to do that. But a Santos Dragon Lee feud, I think, could do really well because Santos is so good at being a bad guy, and Dragon Lee is so good at being a babyface, that lovable underdog you want to root for. And they delivered a great match, an absolute great match. I don't think this is the end of this. The LWO, I don't know exactly what the future is, but I wouldn't mind seeing almost like what we saw back in the day with WCW when the NWO split off into two groups, Wolfpack and the old school black and white. I could see a feuding LWO, especially if they split people off. Dragon Lee, Carlito, and Ray on one side, and Escobar with other members. I could totally see them doing that. I think that might be a smart play to do that.
Absolutely. And I hear where you're coming from on that. I agree a lot about what you were saying about Dragon Lee. I think Dragon Lee has that kind of potential bell to bell. We do have a bunch of comments here. We've got some fun ones again from our good friend Bobby Petito. Hello, Shad. Of course, shout out Shad. As always, Bobby Petito. I'm interested to see if Bailey or Shotzi are the next challenger for Io Sky. It's got to be Bailey. Come on, man. I love you, Bobby, but it's got to be Bailey.
I think they're holding off Bailey till Mania.
And then I think Ivar should be the next challenger for Gunther. I don't mind that at all. Actually, out for the next one, I don't think he'll win the title, but I think that's actually a good shout, Bobby, for sure. And then Santos is becoming such a great heel from Shad, our good friend. And then one more here from Bobby, which is Santos Escobar has all the potential to be WWE United States champion. I agree 100%.
Can I just quickly say that backhand that Kairi Sane did with the little Shotzi completely was unnecessary and savage to the point where Shotzi's makeup just vanished off the face of the earth.
It was wild. You see a handprint.
It was just brutal. But yeah, huge shout out to Kairi Sane. Kairi Sane killed it as well. She was great in the match. One of my favorites in that match. But yeah.
She can really wrestle. I forgot just how talented she is. Speaking of bell to bell, Kairi Sane, that is a great shout. And let's stay with the women's division here, though. Let's talk about Ripley versus Zoe Stark. Rhea Ripley hasn't defended the title as often as I'd like this year. I've expressed that complaint numerous times. Maybe not everybody has the same complaint, but it's just nice to see her in the ring. And boy, did I figure out last night that Zoe Stark has a heck of a future in front of her. She hung with one of the baddest women on the planet when it comes to pro wrestling, bell to bell, and took all the shots, dealt with all of it, did an amazing job. Zoe Stark really impressed me in this one. Kobe, I'm going to toss this one to you. I know you rated the match. How did you feel about this one? And just let me know about the rating and the future for both the title and Zoe Stark.
So, and that's the one thing I want to attest to is Zoe Stark. When I saw the fact that she won, I was like, okay, this could be a really solid match, because before this match, and on any given day you can kind of think otherwise, but I think Rhea Ripley's best title defense has been Natalya on that one random Raw. This one has been that much better. This one was solid, but it did lack a story. I want to say that Chaos did well with Gunther and The Miz because that they were almost they gave the near falls for The Miz and Gunther. This one lacked it. Yes, there was a bit of a story of Zoe Stark needing to prove herself and needing to bring out the stuff to prove that Rhea Ripley was maybe underprepared or underestimating her, but the story just wasn't strong. From an in-ring, from a technical standpoint, this was just a really good match between the two of them. I know a lot of people are interested in a Shayna versus Rhea Ripley. For the main roster, I'm not at all. I know this. I've seen the style of Shayna Baszler. I don't think it's going to work on the main roster. We saw her and Liv at Clash at the Castle. We saw her and Ronda. We saw Shayna Baszler versus Mia Yim at a takeover, and it was a bad match. I'm not confident that Shayna Baszler can top a match with someone that is probably more athletic than Zoe Starks. To me, other than like it being kind of not a weak, but it was a basic story. It was just a solidly worked match, and I do feel the Full Gear Triple Threat was much better in terms of like a title match. But this was just a solidly worked match. I do wish they sold me on the belief that Ripley could lose, but that's kind of the issue right here regarding Rhea Ripley. Is Rhea Ripley such a top talent right now? She's so young, she's so talented. She's got at least another 10 years if she needs in the business. Right now, I don't know what's next. I assume WrestleMania is her and Becky, or Elimination Chamber is her and Becky for a pay-per-view main event or a PLE main event. I don't know. I know we have Liv Morgan recovering. That's another name I can see. I wonder if they do a mid-card rivalry with her and Nia, because they do have 2 months before the Rumble. That could be something that they do a title defense on, like the New Year's Raw. It's going to be Rhea and Nia or something like that. I don't know. It's a lot of wheel spinning to me. I think the women's division on Raw is Rhea Ripley and Becky Lynch, and the rest is just no. There's not. I don't want to say there's not substance, but there aren't credible threats. There aren't credible challengers to Rhea Ripley, and that's kind of the negative aspect of this women's division right here.
That's where I have an issue with. I mean, I think her greatest challenger during this reign has actually been Zelina Vega. I think Zelina looked the most legit against her of anyone, and if we can work our way back to that is, in my eyes, the move that needs to be made. Vega's just so talented, whether it's on the microphone, and she's proven herself bell to bell enough. There's a great underdog story there, and I think Zelina deserves that one. without question. Now let's get into some of the craziness from last night. Let's start really having some fun. I see Chaos over there stretching. I got to get a stretch in too for this segment. It's not even close. Yeah, no, I mean, this is, you got to work yourself up because the next two segments are absolutely electric. This is why we do this kind of stuff. The men's War Games match. They got us on Randy Orton just for a minute. They got us on Randy Orton. We thought it wasn't going to be Orton, maybe. We thought maybe it would be Punk in the match. We thought it could be anything else. We're going to get to Punk, but it was Randy Orton. It was Randy Orton. This match was outstanding across the board. A lot of great stuff going on. McIntyre standing inside of the cage, staring down Jey Uso. I mean, staring a hole in Jey Uso's soul. I loved it. The RKO off the top. Come on. What more can you ask for? Orton looked vintage Orton. He looked outstanding in this match. I thought they got everything right. We're not talking about what happened after. We're just talking about the match here, guys. I'm tossing it to you first, Chaos. What were your thoughts on the men's War Game match and the return of the Viper?
Yeah. Yeah, where do I begin? I mean, the anticipation for this match was off the charts. I mean, obviously they were teasing from the beginning of the show. Orton has not showed up. What is going to happen? Is it actually going to be a 4-on-5 situation? And yeah, they teased it all the way through when it came to his part. And then the match itself was good. It was going pretty solid. Everyone had what's the word I'm looking for? Not a purpose, but they all had a motive to do something in like crazy in that match when it came to their time. Obviously the two last people were the two most important people were left last. Dom and of course Randy Orton. Like you said, I think this is probably the most jacked I've ever seen Orton. He's definitely someone that over the years you see different version of him. We've seen super lean Orton. This one is super jacked. I mean, the guy's been off for almost 2 years. You got more than enough time to do whatever you want, really. Guy looks like he hasn't missed a step. It looked like he actually misses it. And yeah, it's there was obviously at the end, everyone was hitting all their moves, and I called it. I was watching it with my friend Rides. And I said, yeah, if Orton's gonna show up, someone's gonna eat an RKO from out of nowhere, and it's gonna be either the best goobers or either JD McDonough or Dom. And obviously JD was the one, the perfect goober for it. And yeah, he ate that RKO perfectly. It was up to the point where like, did he hit the mat a bit too hard? The guy did not move for the after that, did not move, sold it perfectly. And the person I predicted to take the pin actually got the pin, which is obviously Cody Rhodes. Yeah, this obviously if the plan is for us to have Rhodes versus Reigns 2 twice in a lifetime, then Mania, then yeah, he's the perfect person to get that and have that momentum going into the new year, onto the road to WrestleMania. So yeah, the right team won. Love the little tease with the cash in as well, that he was gonna potentially cash in, because I think quite a lot of people here actually predicted that he could actually try and cash in that after the match if they won or whatever. But yeah, played out well. Can't really fault it, really. It was the ending to if it ended right there, I would have given that pay-per-view a solid 4.75 out of 5. It was absolutely solid. They've been knocking it out of the park. I'm still trying to think, has there been a really bad pay-per-view from WWE? And it's gonna be hard when me and the guys do the annual best and worst pay-per-views of the year.
Yeah,
It's gonna be pretty tricky on the worst side. It's gonna be pretty tricky, but I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, awesome.
when it's interesting when you say that too, Chaos, I think that's kind of a fascinating thing about what WWE's kind of accomplished this year, right? There's been a lot of like changing of the guard as far as creative, and we all know that. A lot of injuries. The injury bug has caught both WWE, AEW, all the major companies this year in a way. What WWE's done that's been special in my eyes that they weren't doing before is you can maybe complain about a Raw or a SmackDown or a weekly show, but you have a hard time criticizing the pay-per-views or the premium live events. It's really hard to find a loophole or something wrong, right? Obviously, Kobe, you review all of them. So I'm going to toss this one to you next. This War Games match was off the charts, and then they put the cherry on top of the sundae, correct? I would say. But how about Orton's return? What'd you think about the match? And just talk to me also about your rating of it.
So that's the thing, is I 100% agree. I think aside from the fact that last year's had the big bloodline angle surrounding with Sami Zayn, last year's War Games match was all right. It had a really good story, but the rest was not great. This year's topped it by far to me. This year, everything was being done right. You had the storyline of Damian Priest being the leader. He's probably going to get blamed. You have Drew McIntyre being the one trying to say plans changed, and Damian saying mine haven't. And then you attempt to cash in. It would have been interesting if they actually tried it, but I still think for an innovative method of delivering the story, it was great to have Rhea Ripley run down with the ref, with the briefcase in hand for that type of moment. The pop Randy Orton get those are what goosebumps are made of. Like goosebumps. If you are watching that and you're not getting goosebumps, you're not a wrestling fan at that point. This is what wrestling is. It's about iconic moments, legendary returns, and that exactly what this was. Randy Orton looked phenomenal. He looked amazing. He looked good. Obviously, he wasn't in there long. We don't know how long how long future matches can be, but he looked in great shape. He got multiple RKOs. That RKO off the top was chef's kiss. I just thought it was a very well done main event. Nothing over the top perfect about it either, but I thought it was from start to finish, it was really good. I liked the kind of the tease with the bull rope. Last time we saw a bull rope in WWE was Cody Rhodes and Seth Hell in a Cell, wrapped around in the steel. War Games wrapped around in the steel, and the bull rope is back. The moment of Seth and Cody staring, the moment of Randy Orton doing his ring pounding to Jey Uso before Jey locked eyes. It was phenomenal. The crowd was electric. There was a small amount of CM Punk chants, but not a lot. They had it a few times, but everyone was getting over. You had Sami Zayn having Olay chants. You had the Yeats. You had Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton. All of them are getting it. Everyone in this match deserves their flowers, and it was an electric main event. It was enjoyable. I watched the second half twice because that's when I got home, but because of other priorities. But the match was electric. It was enjoyable. It blew last year's out of the water to me.
I definitely agree on so much of what you said, and you brought up some really, really, really fun and interesting things. And one of the early you brought up about Damian Priest and his issues with Jey Uso, as well as Drew McIntyre, and the dynamic of him being the finger quotes leader of the Judgment Day. I personally, this was an interesting takeaway I had, and I don't know if you would agree or not, but I felt like I was told a broader story about McIntyre being like, don't you dare distract me with Priest, than I was Priest and Jey, which is, I think, the only miss that I could possibly truly find in this match. That was the only one where I'm like, I thought the story was supposed to be McIntyre and Jey, right? And to me, I want to see McIntyre Priest lock up now. That's just personal preference, I guess, based off but I loved the entire match, and I agree with you. It was well done. They hit all the high notes. Randy Orton, that RKO off the top, the multiple RKOs. I loved the group DDT spot. How fun was the group DDT spot? That was classic. And in a weird way, in my head, I just thought like, oh, Viper, and shout out Jake the Snake Roberts. I'm a huge Jake the Snake guy. So that's who I thought of, the inventor of the DDT. I get they were all draping DDTs, so it's not the exact same, but that just is where my brain went, and I enjoyed it. Anthony, did you enjoy the match? How many rivalries did we just set up coming out of this one for singles competition headed into Mania season?
Yeah, this was a really special match on multiple fronts. On one, for Cody, this is the first time he steps into a match that's probably the most iconic match his father ever created, and literally becomes the fourth member of his family to actually be in one. It probably is, from the babyface side, probably the most star-studded babyface team that's ever been in a War Games match. I mean, when you think about it, every member of that babyface team has either been a world champion or has challenged for a world championship. Going against a heel team, almost like, the Four Horsemen back in the day, Undisputed Era, NWO, it worked. And there were so many little stories going into the match. Randy hasn't forgotten what Jay did. Drew's issues with Jay, Cody and Randy's history. There was so much stuff that was in there that you could branch off on. This was probably a booker's dream of a match because there's so many directions you could spin this off into. And with WrestleMania season around the corner, and the wild card that was thrown in, which we will get to, there's so much they can do, and it reminds you why the road to WrestleMania is the greatest time to be a fan all year. It's why you put up with nonsense stuff throughout the years, because they're going to go all out when it comes to Mania. And would it be in the 40th?
Pun intended?
Huge. Yes, fully intended. Like a punt to the head. Yes, exactly. It's fully intended. But yeah, I think this match delivered. Having Cody pick up the win was the smart move, logically. If the momentum is going to Rocky 2, Cody, Roman, this time the story gets finished in Philly, which is the birthplace of Rocky. So it would make the most sense.
I like it. Rocky 2. I
Can
was saying for a long time. Go ahead, Chaos.
No, I was just going to ask you a question. From a story point of view, do you think this year was better in terms of, and also the moments in this was better than last year's, when it was the Bloodline against Kevin Owens and Co?
I think so, only because the overall show had those moments. We had R-Truth return, Orton, Punk, and just overall card wise, I think this was probably the stronger one.
Oh yeah, not the card. I'm talking about just the men's War Games match.
Oh, the men's War Game match itself.
Yeah.
I mean, that one last year was so good, but there's ways they could spin off on this one, which they couldn't really last year. Last year it was mainly just the
Bloodline.
Yeah.
That's fair enough.
Kobe, what did you think? Same question.
Since that's where I was coming in from. Is like last year we were all invested in the Sami Zayn Bloodline stuff. This year there was that underlying belief of maybe people were getting sick of the Judgment Day stuff. But I think from a standpoint of the match itself, the storytelling last year was that much better, but everything else was much better in this match. That's what I think.
Chaos. So are you going to answer your own question first, or am I going to go first?
No, yeah, you go. Okay, I'll answer that.
So I think this year's match was better, and I loved Sami Zayn. We talk about finish the story with Cody, and we've done that. Sami Zayn's story wasn't finished ever either. Sami Zayn's story was electric during that time, and I think given the results after, it'll be hard to gauge either one. But if I have to pick one, And it's not just because of the returns. I think it's the idea that I was a little bit shocked by how much storytelling was able to be accomplished in one match. The Bloodline story was played out on TV in a way that in the ring, while that story was loose ends tied up, this one advanced the story in a way that made it more intriguing to me, that I would just give it the slight nod, but it's really close. Chaos, how about you?
I'm probably gonna be in the team camp of the Bloodline thing. I think I was because it was like you said, it was the most must see storyline at that time, and I feel like there's more memorable moments in the one in the Bloodline one, same as when Kevin Owens was about to win the match. Sami stopped the referee's hand from counting to 3. He replayed the the haluva kick move, and then to Kevin Owens, and he's held him up there, put him up there, made Jay, was it Jay? Yeah, Jay do the splash and everything. Finally, Jay believed Sami Zayn now, and he embraced. I think there was there was more memorable moments that I think I remember more than with this match. I just remember that, okay, Randy Orton returned and he hit an RKO out of nowhere.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I will remember from this one. Was the other one, there was multiple memorable moments. So that's why I kind of put it in.
That's a really good point too, Chaos. I didn't even actually think of it that way. This one is more about like the big moments.
Yeah.
Like the couple of them, right? And a lot of those had less to do with like what was set up going in. It's razor thin. I really did enjoy both though myself.
Okay, 100%. 100%.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, let's though talk about the main event of the evening, which of course occurred after the main event of the evening. So I'm from Chicago, and here's the deal. CM Punk's back in the WWE 9 years later. It happened. It happened. The Cubs begged for 108 years. It's going to happen. All positivity. This isn't quite the same. It's only 9, not 108. But in Chicago, CM Punk returned to the old promised land. Post main event, Seth Rollins went wild. We saw that. Drew McIntyre was visibly upset after the match. I don't think that had anything to do with Punk. Randy Orton is still jacked. And what in the world is going on? CM Punk is back in WWE. The place that is usually warm is now cold. Obviously, as Triple H said, that one is frigid these days. Anthony, I'm going to toss it to you. Can I say this on air? Has hell frozen over?
Oh, 100%. It absolutely did last night. For weeks, fans have said, "Oh, we see signs," and all the dirt sheets said, "Oh, no." On one hand, I think a lot of that got built up in the fans' minds. However, when you're talking about this, Triple H said years ago when he was asked, "Would you be willing to bring CM Punk back?" His exact words were, "It needs to work for both sides, and both sides have to want it. Now's the time to do it." It's been almost 10 years since CM Punk was there. A lot has changed, and this is an opportunity for CM Punk to get his WrestleMania main event. This is an opportunity for Punk to give back. WWE has done better than anybody else in the history of the business to capitalize on controversy or real life heat. Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart, they hated each other. It played phenomenal on TV. Charlotte and Becky, they hated each other. It played phenomenal on TV. They took a real life love triangle with Matt Hardy, Edge, and Lita and turned that into a story. And they were willing to work with one another, which is the one thing AEW was never able to do. They were never able to turn Brawl out into a story because the people involved could not put personal issues aside to make money. Triple H learned under Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon was willing to put bygones be bygones if he can make money off of somebody. No bridge is too burnt to cross over if they can make money off somebody. And they are going to do that with CM Punk. All the doubt of people going, well, I don't know, is it going to end the same way? I don't believe Triple H would have brought him in if he believed that he was going to be a cancer. Seth Rollins' reaction was a work. It's 100% a work. Seth is a professional. He knows what type of money they could make together. Whether it's main eventing night 1 of WrestleMania 40 for the world title, he's going to be willing to do that because he knows what's best for business. They've all said that. Cody said that last night. At the end of the day, there are going to be people that probably don't want to work with them because they had bad blood in the past. It is what it is. But at the end of the day, it's about putting what's best for business. And at the end of the day, they want to make money. Punk generates money.
100%. And I mean, the way that I would quantify it is Punk makes people talk about him in a way that is just hard to even do the math on. He has for years been a talking point when he was gone. He comes back, still a talking point. He's all people want to talk about in a way that is just unique. We've got a few comments here. We got one from Bobby Petito. I always enjoyed watching you guys' show. Thank you so much, Bobby. We appreciate you tuning in, man. You're the man. We got another one here from Big Man Rides.
What's up, Rides?
Frozen over. What's up, Rides? Good to see you as always. We've got Shoddy Huda with Trust Hunter with this. The locker room respects him, and he's gonna tell some masterful stories with Phil. Respect, Shad. You're the man too. This is one of those things that just is wild. Kobe, you rated the show. Did you call this one an unrateable segment? And if you didn't, what did you rate it? What would you have rated this if it was long enough to rate?
I mean, it's not a segment I can rate. There's no dialogue. It's not a promo. It was a return. It was an electric moment. And the biggest takeaway I have is, like you just said, to build upon what you just said. CM Punk's been the talking point for 9 years. He left the WWE in 2014. He's been on the tip of everyone's tongue for that long. He got fired from AEW months ago, and he was still on everyone's plate. He was still the talk of the town. To me, it is shocking, and it's a test to who CM Punk is and the star that he can bring to that he genuinely is. The fact that he had not one but 2 legendary returns to the business in less than 2.5 years. That original pop for Rampage is magical. It's one of AEW's grandest moments, possibly ever. Edge's is up there as well. But this one is just as magical. I love the fact that Triple H did the typical takeover, put the watermark up, but something's gonna come. Had the watermark, you had the camera zooming out, showing the entire arena, and then you hear the magical static. It's goosebumps. It's magic. It's a magical moment. It's a legendary moment. Punk looked like he was excited, and even if he was fueled by spite to make this return happen, that return changes everything. That atmosphere, those emotions that happen when you have whatever 17,000 plus people in the Allstate Arena chanting for CM Punk, popping in the way they did, it's a magical moment, and I'm excited to see what Punk brings, and I hope we don't have to eat our feet later, eat our boot.
100%. I love that, and I love what you said there. It was pro wrestling 101, right? It's one of those moments that just, all the hair stands up on your back. It's fun when you hear that Cult of Personality hit, and you're just like, oh no, wait a minute, this was already a fun show. I was gonna watch anyway. And then
Remastered
Punk.
personality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Except for that they played the original, which was interesting to me, actually. It's funny because the remastered version sounds totally different.
Yeah, it does.
It truly does. Great song though, and not the point. Chaos, I have to toss this one to you. You were at his last AEW match. Did you think that was maybe potentially his last match ever? And not only that, how shocked were you when you saw the entrance?
I got so much to say on this situation that I'm gonna have to do a take it to the table on this situation. But yeah, I genuinely thought that we probably saw the last. I was a part of history that we saw this last match, which I guess in AEW history we did see that. But yeah, I'll just put it like this: on August 20th, 2021, we saw CM Punk return to wrestling. Saturday, 25th November, we see him return home. That's how I kind of put it. And it was electrifying. We all got food. We all get duped. It's the fact that Triple H, even though it's a Triple H trope, we seem to forget about the watermark trick that he does. He's done it plenty of times, but we love to see it. Yeah, I live in a detached house. I'm pretty sure I woke up my neighbors because how crazy I went nuts. It was 4 a.m. over here in the UK, so you can only imagine. It was electrifying. It looks great. I feel like he was actually teasing this in front of our faces. Like he was putting all these teases and cryptic stuff, I guess non-cryptic stuff, on his Instagram. And people were saying, "Oh, he's just playing with us," But if you really think about it, he was just slapping it in front of our faces, pretty much. But yeah, it's one of the best kept secrets in a while. Like we were pretty much just, this came to the assumption all right, it's not happening anytime soon. It will happen soon, but just not anytime now. But yeah, he came home. The reason I'm more excited about this is that I don't really care much about Phil Brooks as a person. I just want his character, CM Punk, to have the riding off into the sunset situation for that character, because he's such a legendary person in wrestling that forget him as a person. His character needs to have a definitive ending. We don't want it to end how it did at AEW, or all that political stuff. All that's Phil Brooks. When it comes to his character, he's great, and you want it to have a definitive end, and make him go out head held high, and then right up into the sunset. So where this ends, I hope it comes. Night one, CM Punk versus Seth makes absolute total sense. It doesn't even have to be for the title. Give it to Damian Priest beforehand. It doesn't have to be for the title, but that is the match to go. They've planted the seeds already. Seth, being an absolute professional, did what he could. I can't wait for this. I can't wait for tonight, Monday Night Raw. It is going to be electric. He better open up the show. He has to open up. Do exactly what he did at the first dance. Open up and then lay it on the table. I can't wait. It is a great time to be a wrestling fan. It's a great time to be alive. I can't wait. But yeah, tune in to Take It to the Table when I talk about this more. Trust me.
So this is what I was going to ask you on that. I'm not even trying to navigate as far as what we talk about on Take It to the Table, but I would love to invite myself if I can.
I would like to be on that as well.
I think a question that needs to be answered on Take It to the Table is the only issue the juxtaposition of Phil Brooks versus CM Punk in relation to what happens the longer he is at a company working, because that's the only issue I've ever seen with him. Has he shown too much of his own personality, or does it actually enhance the CM Punk personality?
You go, Anthony.
Okay. Here's the thing. He worked for WWE for almost 10 years. There were no issues publicly until the end. He worked for AEW less than 2 years, and it all fell apart. So the question is it Phil Brooks, or was it AEW wasn't a good fit? Right. The fact that it fell apart in that short a time, I don't believe it was just Phil Brooks.
Well, and you do look though at the staph infection from when he left WWE. Yeah. That was a huge. People forget about that. That's a huge. You can see it on his back.
And that's another thing. This is a different regimen. I personally think if Vince was still in the power, I don't think this would have happened. If it was just WWE, the TKO thing didn't happen. All of that. If it was under the old regiment, this 100%, he would never go back to that. The fact that things are on the up and up, WWE is in their best, like financially in a long time, if ever. And it's under Triple H. He was like, all right, I'm coming back. That's what I totally think.
I totally agree, and especially what you said about like if Vince was still a factor at this point. But with that does bring us to the end of the show, guys. If you haven't already liked and subscribed, please do. We could talk about this for hours, and we're going to continue to talk about it at some point here shortly on Take It to the Table.
Yes.
We assure you, because there is too much to be discussed. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. I hope everyone had a happy Thanksgiving, happy holidays coming up here. I know it's a little early, but either way, we got an exciting Raw. It's a great time to be a wrestling fan. Thank you for tuning in. On behalf of Anthony, Chaos, Kobe Galanzowski, all of us here at WR, thank you so much, and we'll see everybody soon. Same time, same place tomorrow here on YouTube, and all your well, at least on X or whatever that is too. We're on all of them. We'll talk to everybody soon.
Team Pepsi. Oh wait.